We all have these pursuits that we don't want to quit. Well, when you just do things for money, you miss the impact that you can truly have by doing things you're passionate about. And it's truly the journey that we're on, not the destination. And you deserve not to quit on the things that bring you joy.
Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand. What's your next big summit to climb? Well, when today's guest, who is also a client of ours and quickly becoming a very good friend, pondered that same question, she took the challenge farther than most of us could ever imagine. In fact, just a few days ago on June 1st, 2023, Jenn Drummond became the first female to climb the 7-second summits. Woo! This is incredible, earning her a world record. Now, what are the 7-second summits? They are the second tallest mountains on each of the 7 continents. Get that, guys. Most experienced mountaineers, in fact, will tell you that those are a higher degree of difficulty than the first 7. So why did she do it? How did she do it? And how can that help you go from a life of success to a life of significance? Grab a seat, tune out the noise, because today you're going to hear a story you will never forget.
Jenn, welcome to Be Bold Branding.
Woo! Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Yes, we are excited about this too. And we were excited about your climb and that success. And I know we came in on the tail end of that, but we were with you the whole way. Like I just, every day we were check, where is she? Where is she? How's she doing? How's she doing? Where's she at? Like we were so excited.
I was sweating for you.
Yeah.
Like the last 2 or 3 nights, I barely got any sleep, and we'd wake up and Michael would say, you toss, turn. It's like, yeah, because I don't know where she is right now. And we were really, really concerned, right? Because this is not for the faint of heart. In fact, it's for this tough, super tough. So we're really so happy for you and so proud of you, Jenn.
We are. And we need a little bit of the backstory. Like,
Yes.
So tell us as briefly as you can, like so much to pack in. Why do this? Like, what even set you on this idea?
Yeah, pack that quick. Sure, let me try that real quick. Yeah, so here's the deal. I got into a car accident in 2018. And prior to that car accident, I was doing the life of should. Like, this is what society says. This is who you should be. This is what you should do. This is what it looks like. This is success. And, I was happy, but I don't know if I was fulfilled, to be honest with you. I get into this car wreck that should have taken my life and didn't. And all of a sudden I realized, if I don't step into who I am now, when am I going to do that? What's the thing that I need to have happen that gives me permission to be me? And the car wreck, I decided, would be that thing. And so that was the line in the sand. And I had been just doing life so much that I don't even know if I knew what any of my favorite things were anymore. It was pretty interesting. I was like, people like, where do you want to go for dinner? My dinners consisted of eating leftovers off my kids' plates. Like, I didn't even know what I liked when it was my choice to pick, right? And so I went on this quest in 2019 of figuring out who I was, what I liked, what started my heart on fire. And in 2020, to age me, I was turning 40. And I knew that I wanted to climb a mountain for my birthday because it was like this big significant event. And that was going to start my decade off right. And so I'd asked a bunch of friends, I'm like, what should you climb? What should you climb? What should I climb? And they said, go climb this mountain called Ama de Blanc, located in Nepal. It's the most beautiful mountain. It's rock, it's ice, it's all the things, blah, 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 blah. So I'm training for this mountain called Ama de Blanc. And my son's struggling with his math homework one day because COVID hits and we're all doing things that we normally don't do. And I'm like, you got this, buddy. We do hard things. And he goes, if we do hard things, why are you climbing a mountain called I'm a Dumb Blonde instead of a real mountain called Everest? And I'm like, Ama de Blanc, not I'm a Dumb Blonde, but thank you. And let's look at Everest. Like I'll look at Everest. I have nothing against Everest. It's never really called to me, but I'll look at it. And at that moment, I realized perception was a big deal. And so if my kids think this is a big deal, I want them to know that we can do anything we set our heart to, and we can do things as big as Everest. So I signed up to do Everest, training for Everest. I got a coach, and the coach was like learning about my personality and what I wanted to do with my life. And he gave me a book, and there was a story about a lady who got a Guinness World Record. And I was kind of joking. And I'm like, I got a Guinness World Record. My kids would think I'm cool, because that's how they all learned how to read. Like, who grew pumpkins, who ate hot dogs, like, all the things. And he came up with the 7-second summits, because I love mountaineering. And so it's the second highest point in each continent, hadn't been done by a female, allowed me to travel and see a whole bunch of different cultures, and just really plant in people's mind this image of this blonde mom on the top of the mountain that doesn't quite fit. And I wanted that not to fit, to have them stop and question, because when we stop and question, opportunities arise. And I thought, well, if I can trigger you here to stop and question, where else can you stop and question to make sure you're living a life of significance?
Wow.
Oh, perfectly put.
Canned perfect. I gotta say.
I wonder where I got that branding message. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? So fluid,
We love you.
so solid.
That's right. That's right. Well, speaking of solid, this story, when you first told me this, I laughed and laughed, and I thought, this is so real. Tell everybody about when you contacted the people at Mount Everest and said, I need to bring a hairdryer.
We're going to start with that. Okay, I am a little like barbified. I will say that. They call me Mountain Barbie for a reason. But here's the thing. I have long hair. And I wasn't doing it for this vanity project. I was doing it because I was worried about getting sick and not being able to summit. Because if I washed my hair at base camp and it takes 24 to 36 hours to dry in that environment, am I going to get sick if we have to go up the mountain? So I'm like, I'm going to see if I can bring a hairdryer. So I called this first company and I said, hey, listen, here's my situation. Can I bring a hairdryer? I'm not asking for shrimp. I'm asking for like something that will help me do this deal. And the first company's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try another company. So the second company I called, and they said, yeah, we could probably give you the generator once a week and you should be able to do it. And then the third company I called said, do you want a mirror? And I'm like, that's my company, right? Like, do I want to, not only am I going to meet you with your request, I'm going to anticipate the next part of this request and provide it for you. And as business owners, right, don't we all wish we were the company that said, hey, do you want a mirror?
Amen.
So stop for a second and ask, when people give your request, what company are you out of those three? So I actually ended up bringing a solar powered battery that allowed me to power a 1,000-watt hairdryer. Okay, just for all of you that are listening, watching, a 1,000-watt hairdryer is like this. Like, that's how much it dries your hair. Like, it barely dries your hair. But it does give you like some kind of satisfaction that you think it's working, even though it's just a little like. But here's the thing, I was a little embarrassed because I had this solar power battery. So I thought I was going to be drying my hair in the tent and nobody would know and I'd be hiding. Okay, well, you have a solar powered battery. You're out like in the middle of everything, trying to find the sun, drying your hair on Mount Everest Base Camp. So a few people, as in all of Base Camp, heard about the story. And it was a little embarrassing until I went to the next mountain to climb. So climbed Everest, came down, went to the next mountain, and I had no less than 10 women come up to me and say, thank you for taking up space and being a female in what is typically a male-dominated sport and allowing us to not have to be mini males in this pursuit. And that was where I was like, oh my God, it is so important for us to say what our needs are, to ask for them, and to honor those, because we give permission to others by doing so. And I'm not apologizing. I needed a hairdryer and it worked.
I love it.
Listen, you own it, because I'll tell you, I wondered, like, when you're at the base of that mountain, because I too have very long hair, and I'm thinking, okay, but I could not have my hair wet like that. I would literally freeze to death. Like, I'd have icicles running off my head. So I was literally wondering about that, not for vanity's sake either, although I'm not ashamed of that either. I like curled hair, right? But I really wanted to know, how did that work? Michael likes his hair curled too.
No, like your hair.
All right, Jenn. So here's a theme that I noticed right away. You have 7 kids. You have a 7-figure business that you've built. You've climbed the 7-second summits. You have a book coming out and speaking where you'll be sharing the 7 strategies to seek your summit. I see a pattern. Tell us where all of that came from, how all that culminated.
Okay, so I think we're going to Vegas with all these sevens. Are you
That's
in?
right. That's right.
You know, the 7 kids were a gift of fertilization treatments, right? So I believed that embryos were life. I had 14 embryos. The doctor thought I would have maybe 3 to 4 kids based on the quality of those embryos. I'm 5 kids deep, calling the doctor like, excuse me, who we agreed to a little bit lower number than what I'm hitting right now, and I still have some extras. So what's going on here? And, you know, I was in this point of, man, I wish I didn't believe embryos were life. Like, I wish I could change this. I wish I could make my story different than what it is. But I've already declared this. And if I declared this, I can't change, because if I change, then I'm going to always doubt what I say, and I'm not going to have the confidence in myself. So I used all the embryos and was blessed, as my son will tell you from his kindergarten class, that my mom says babies are a blessing, and we get blessings every year. So I have 7 amazing kids, and every one of them, if you have children, you know, they're unique. They're their own person. It's just magic to watch them do life. And 7 days of the week, 7 continents, 7 mountains, 7, 7. Like, I just, like, it's my thing. It's my number. Some numbers we just have, right? We all have a favorite. Right? Mine happened to be 7. And so that's what we continue with.
Yeah. Again, you know, what's really amazing is all of that in and of itself at face value is amazing, but how you processed, how you came to that is even more amazing.
Yeah.
Because, like, being impeccable with your word is something that is so unbelievably important in business and life, how we deal with everybody on a personal level as well as a business level, which there should be no difference. So I really appreciate and want to applaud the fact that you recognize that, you know, I stated this, and if I go back on this, then I'm cheating me and my ideal beliefs. And I think we have to stick to those. And that's probably a driving force for you. It's how you climb these mountains. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, like, you know, we had trouble on the mountain this last one, right? I had a friend that got frostbite. And so there was this thing like, are we all going to stop? Like, what happens? The helicopter only actually picks up the patient. So no matter what, we couldn't go with him. So we decided as a group that we would continue on. But my mom's like, oh man, if this changes, like, we know she's going back. Like, when you declare who you are and you're impeccable with your word, then the universe obliges to you because they know you're not shifting. Right. So like everybody else knows, oh man, we're going to have to go through this again. Like there was never a question of like, oh, is she going to quit? Is she going to stop? No. And that's beautiful because now people have a way to support you. They know like, oh, this is what she's doing. How do I support? Versus, is there room for me to change somebody's pursuit or passion or path? That's not the case when you're impeccable with your word.
Yeah, agreed. What was the reaction to the kids when you got back?
Oh my goodness. Like, you guys, they made me this sign. I love kids, right? Like, I love kids. They made me this sign where they colored a mountain, and then they took one of my photos that I was holding the flag. Like, every mountain I hold a picture of them and I hold a flag, but they put the flag one. And they cut it out, this teeny tiny little human, and glued it to the top of this mountain. And like, everybody had to tell me what letter they colored or what part of the mountain they decorated or whatever. And it was just so fun to come home and know that they know this is in them.
Mm-hmm.
This was a very much my pursuit for all of us, right? And I say all of us as like society, culturally, whatever, and especially my children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned, this last mountain was formidable, right? It was a rough one. I'm going to ask you about your entire journey here. What is the most painful lesson you learned during this journey to a world record?
I think we like to convince ourselves we have more control over things that we don't, right? So just understanding that I can do my best, I can show up as my best, I can do everything in my power and still not always summit. But that doesn't mean I failed. Right. That just means I got different lessons than the lessons I was hoping to get that time. And the beta that I got from that experience and all the different pieces make me a better human. And it's truly the journey that we're on, not the destination. And I know we hear that a ton and a ton, but live it. Like, so at this last mountain, I stepped onto the top of Mount Logan. And once I knew I had no more steps to take, I took in this huge inhale. And when I took in that inhale, boundaries, time, space, everything disappeared. Like I was one with the sun, with the wind, with the mountain, with the environment, with everything. And then I took an exhale, and I did that a few times. And those moments of just pure awe and wonder are amazing. But what happens is you can't stay in that space as much as you'd love to. Like I was just shocked, like after a few breaths already, I'm starting to separate and come back into bodily form and just feel like my own self. And then I almost took my soul out of my body and threw it out into the world again and said, I can't wait to see how I find you next.
Oh, how gorgeous.
Wow.
How beautiful. How beautiful.
Yeah. I have to liken this, when you're in that space, because I know when we were watching, you were like, okay, there's a storm coming in. I know there was a night or two where it was just like horrific and even just mortally dangerous. I know you had equipment failure. You had to go back down and fix that and come back up. And we can't all be Jenn Drummond, right? And we can't, and some people that are listening to this, they're like, I'm just a single mother that has to take care of 3 kids and I don't have anybody else in my life or a babysitter. How am I going to do this? Right. And what you said was so powerful. Like, even if I don't summit, I'm not failing. I'm not going to fail. I would do this again. I would do this again. But you have that internal battle, right? When you're in that space, because you could say, you know what? I'm tired of fighting this storm. I'll be back next year. Right. But you got to keep at the same time that drive to say, no, this is going to lift. This is going to lift and I'm going to make it. Right.
Yeah.
Isn't that a constant battle?
It is a constant battle, but you have to let it not be a battle. You have to let it be what it is. Like you enter a battle when you want something to be different than what is. And so really the lesson in the moment is like, this is reality. And so how do I navigate this reality the best that I can? Metaphorically, reality, literally, whatever that looks like for you. We all have these things and we can engage in battle, which that's an energy to resist. Or we can engage in, this is what is. How do I make the best of this?
Yeah.
And that's what each of us are tasked with. We're each tasked with this special drive, burning desire, likes, dislikes, experiences. And it's our job to live whatever that is to its fullest color in whatever we're doing.
I love it. I knew you would answer that in ways that somebody out there needs to hear it, right?
Yeah.
I too, being a business person, Tanya, we have ideals, we have dreams. We say we want our companies to be this, we want to be this big by this certain time. And all of those things are possible, but there's so much left up to the unknown, right? And I do believe the universe is constantly giving you what you want, but there are things that have to shift sometimes to get there. And so my prayer over time, let me be content with my lot in life, help me to perfect my lot in life and to try to do exactly what you're saying, try to make the very best of every situation right now and leave the rest up to God, the universe, however you want to portray that.
Right. Whatever that sits with you. Like, I'll give you an example from my business days, right? So I graduated from college and got into finance. And I worked for a company for a few years and then it started my own company. And I had this idea, right? Like, we're going to build this many clients. We're going to have this office. And this is like, you have this vision of what it's going to be. And I think it's very important to have a vision because it functions as a North Star and gives you direction. Well, then what ended up happening is I had a client that was the CEO of a credit union. And so when I was meeting with her on her personal finances in one of our meetings one day, she's like, yeah, I think our credit union is going to start offering financial service products. And I was like, hey, I can, like, really? Are you what's going on? Are you going to interview? Like, I'd be really interested in looking at that. And so then she's like, oh, yeah, yes, you should interview. The board's interviewing right now. So then I figured out, I'm like, okay, what does this look like? What did we do? Whatever. I interviewed with the board and then I got the contract with the credit union. And so then I started working with the credit union and their membership to provide financial services to their membership. And I realized, oh my God, like this is amazing. Like the worst part about being in finance is cold calling clients. And now all of a sudden I have a well of clients in this institution. Like, are you kidding me? So then I pivoted and said, okay, let's go target credit unions and figure out how to white
Nice.
label a program for them. That was not even in the realm of possibility in my life, right? And it was definitely not the vision that I started out with. But because I opened up to the opportunity that presented itself and then went down that path because of the pursuit I was originally on, my business is amazing. Like it's bigger than I could have ever imagined. It's doing more than I ever thought possible. And it's because I was steadfast in what I wanted, but open to how it showed up.
Nice.
I love that. I love
Perfectly
that.
said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that you taught me through your journey, I'll never forget the words you said. You said, it's not like I failed, it was climatizing. Climatizing. And that means each time you come at it a little bit different, you let what's going to happen and you flow with it. And that's another thing you mentioned. You know, the mountain is not your foe, right? It is literally you flow with the mountain. And those are things that I remembered about your journey. So you've already taught me a lot for sure. And segue into this next topic, it's perfect because you're about to teach a whole lot of people and take them along on your journey. You have a new book coming out. Can you give us a sneak peek about the title and the premise of that book?
Okay, so we're calling the book Quit Proof: 7 Strategies for Life and Business. And I like say that because we all have these pursuits that we don't want to quit. However, at the same time, sometimes we do need to quit to acclimatize or to take the lesson or to go down a different path because that's the door that opened and that's what makes sense. So I go through a lot of the journey on the mountains, tell a lot of the stories, and extract business and life lessons from her to help everybody in their everyday pursuits because we get this one magic life and you deserve not to quit on the things that bring you joy.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
Couldn't agree more. Speaking of that, who do you hope to impact the most with your message?
Yeah, we're making it like gender neutral. So hopefully like both the sexes find it enjoyable. We're really trying to work with the individual, but also selling it to a corporate audience so that I could go in and do some training and speaking at the companies and help them build teams. Because to become quit proof in any situation that we're in or any pursuit that we have, it is maybe one person's vision, but it's an entire team that you need to recruit and have supporting you to bring it to life. And so we're really targeting those markets. And I feel all of us want a life of success. And then once you start having success, you realize that the true reward is really having significance and impact. And so the book is showing you ways that, okay, now I've reached this goal. Where can I improve it? Where can I broaden its reach and have a significant impact on those in my life?
Exactly. And that brings us to the next topic is we've been working with you on your personal brand and that journey. And you came to us because you were getting ready to achieve this huge accomplishment. And like a lot of successful entrepreneurs, like you have a book coming out, you have a podcast now, you have coaching programs you're working on with. What was it you most wanted to accomplish with your brand?
I'd say impact. Here's a story from my experience. I had no social media. I had no anything online. Like, if you want to know me, you know me because we have something that we have in common and we hang out. COVID happened. I started on this quest and a girlfriend of mine said, hey, listen, Jen, you need to share this journey with us. Our daughters have so many examples of people who have already made it. They don't really have many examples of people going through it. If you could do some social channels, allow us a little sneak peek of the journey and what your thoughts are and what's going on and all these pieces, we think it'd be very beneficial. Okay, we'll throw like somebody's kid in there. I'm like, I'll do anything, right? Like, oh, your kid's going to benefit. What do you need me to do? Clown suit? I'm in. Okay. So I like started social media. And of course, like you get some bad parts of social media, but then there's a person that reached out to me that wanted to climb one of the mountains that I wanted to climb. but they were not able to because they had gotten cancer. And I was like, oh my God, like this is horrible. And so it was really touched me that I'm like, okay, what can I do for this person? What can I do for this person? So I was in Nepal and I grabbed some prayer flags and I had them blessed by a llama over there. And then I hiked them up to the top of the mountain. And then I brought them back down and I mailed them to this family. And I just said, hey, this is for you. I thought of you the entire time, blah, 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 blah. A few months later, unfortunately, the cancer had taken this person's life. So her husband let me know that she was buried with these prayer flags. Like that's how important they were.
Wow.
And the impact that it had on her like end of life care. And I'm like, if I can do that for one person, like I am in. Like all day I'm in. You tell me what you need done, I am all about it. And those are the things that energize me and get me excited. And when I go talk in front of companies and you share your story, and then afterwards these people come up to you and say like, oh, I like this was me, or this is whatever, or they send you an email a few weeks later saying I tried this or I did that, or they stepped into who they were. Like, let me be a vessel for that for the rest of my life. And I am in.
Yeah,
What a
that's
great story.
that's really good from a very clearly driven person that with massive amount of success, that is what you value as the most successful. And I find that when we deal with people, that have accomplished a lot of stuff like that, that's the resounding thing. They recognize at some point that, okay, I've been blessed with all this kind of stuff, but if I could just help one person, like if I could just be instrumental in one person, and to your point, significant in that person's life to help bring about a change that maybe they were stumbling on or couldn't get over for a second. That's powerful stuff. And it's the only thing that truly lasts. And you catch the true essence of personal branding and what we're trying to do when we personally brand somebody, because those are the things that last. The dollars, the amount of dollars, the commas and the zeros, they come, they go, they ebb, they flow, but those are the things that last forever.
Yeah.
Like world records.
No, I agree. And I've worked with a few different branding companies before I got introduced to you all. And I will tell you the biggest difference. I mean, there's a million differences, so it shouldn't say so, a million differences, but biggest difference, okay, is I pull out of life, right? Like I go climb a mountain for a few weeks at a time and I'm away. I know if I'm a client or if I'm somebody you truly are passionate about by what goes on while I'm gone, right? And that it's an interesting thing. It's kind of like when you raise kids. Like you can think you're doing a good job. You go on vacation for a week and your little kids all are turds the entire time you're gone. You're missing something, right? Like it's time to check in again and like redo the deal. When I was gone and I have an assistant that you guys were helping and you guys were checking in on me and you guys were doing all these things, like that's because you believe in the brand and you believe in the messaging. And you've helped to create that and build that. And your way of exponentially impacting this world is that you only take on clients that you passionately can turn into friends because you believe in what they're doing. And I think so many branding companies are like, oh, I'll take your money. I'll take your money. I'll take your money. Well, when you just do things for money, you miss the impact that you can truly have by doing things you're passionate about. And that's one thing that BrandFace, I think, does better than anybody I've encountered. And I've been working with a lot of branding companies for a lot of years of you wholeheartedly take on a client and you're in. And it's magic because then us as clients, we feel held. As a CEO or as an individual, there's a lot of things you do by yourself and in silo. And it's very comforting to actually be held and supported in your pursuit. And that is priceless.
Oh, those words are priceless
Wow.
to us. I can tell you.
Yeah,
And
you're
thank
going to
you
make
so
me
much
cry
for
over
it.
here.
I have you and I are connected because I had that same feeling about Tanya the first time I ever met her. And I thought I was buying marketing. She sold me marketing and gave me branding and changed my life. And so I know exactly what you're talking about because I felt that way about her the very first second that I talked to her. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to get it done. And she does it with such a purity. It's got to be around it.
Unbelievable. It's so refreshing.
Well, thank you both from the bottom of my heart. And we have an entire amazing team that cares as much as we do. And I got to hand it to all of them. They're amazing. They're amazing. But it's really so easy to look at you and see your heart and see why you did what you do. Yes, people have done that before. No female's ever done it. And I kept telling you throughout this entire journey, do not forget that. Remember, you will be known forever. Long after you're gone from this world, you'll be known for this one huge accomplishment. But what really matters is why you did it, not that you did it. And
Right.
so hats off to you. Hats off to you. So here is a question that I'm going to twist the question just a little bit for you because we ask it to all of our guests on Be Bold Branding. The question is, if our listeners have the freedom to visit anywhere in the world, where would you recommend they visit and why? But I'm going to ask you, out of the 7 continents and the 7 peaks that you summited, which was your favorite or most impactful for you and why?
Oh, I would say Africa, right? So Mount Kenya and Africa. Kenya is such a beautiful country. When I went there, the trip got bumped up earlier than what I was planning on doing it in my pursuit because somebody had known that I was going to do this pursuit and they had a charity over in Kenya and they needed help with some logistics of getting an ambulance to this charity with everything that was going on with COVID. So I'm happy to do that. Are you kidding me? So I was talking to this charity before I entered Kenya. And the lady had talked to me. I'm like, hey, if there's something that's in my budget that you could use aside from an ambulance, what would it be? And this lady said, we need period products because when the girls have their period, they don't go to school for a week. So every month you have a handful of women that are not in school for a whole week out of 4, essentially. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So I brought some product from the US, but it was actually cheaper to just bring money and then they could buy product and have it there for the girls, a lot less shipping. So I came there and then I got to meet some of these women and just like the purity and the energy and the excitement and the possibility and knowing like something so simple can make such an impact on their education. And then all the trickling effects that has. So I would say Kenya was probably my favorite. And if you go to Kenya, like not only are the people beautiful, the landscape's beautiful, the animals are beautiful. Like it's just this country filled with natural, beautiful resources that I highly recommend you see.
Oh, wow.
I like it.
Yeah. And what a beautiful story of something so simple that is life altering for someone else and how much we take for granted.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is really. And also, really, I sort of poignant because I know like your business and the 7 strategies that you're going to teach and sort of build your business around. It is gender neutral, right? Us men can learn just as much and being inspired. I'm inspired. I've been inspired or whatnot. But it's really cool that these young ladies, now that you're being able to help them be in school for 4 weeks out of the month, they're also seeing this is Jenn Drummond that is going for this world record, fixing to climb this mountain, because then they might think I can climb that mountain.
Right. No. They are. I mean, no, it's funny, right? Because I'm a little bit tiny, not super tiny, but I'm definitely not like as tall as typical Kenyans are. And they're like, you little mighty mite, that little mighty mite there is going to get up that mountain. And I'm like, it actually helps be a mighty mite because it takes less oxygen for me to get up that mountain.
But that's adorable. I mean, and you got a chance to connect with, indigenous people all along, your journey and, how beautiful is that?
Yeah, no doubt.
Jenn, what's the best way for people to learn about you or contact you and follow you? Because I know you also have a challenge coming up soon. If you want to take a moment and talk about that, and then we can connect them with your website to follow along and get some more information on that challenge.
Yeah, please. So I am doing a rest and recovery challenge starting in July. I need an accountability partner. So I build these challenges so that I have an accountability group that like inspires and empowers and like holds each other to the things that we're doing. I felt like I've been going. In the summer, we all tend to go because our kids are home, schedules change. We do more vacations. So we're trying to squeeze in work in between these different things. And so I really wanted to launch this in July so that we can all do it together and have fun. So that's going to start. The best way to reach me is my website, which is Jenn, Jenn, Drummond.com. Has access to all the things from there. So it's perfect.
Yep. Well, we can't wait to watch the rest of your journey unfold because you've done some amazing things, Jenn, but I have a feeling that your journey has really only begun to impact everyone else.
I agree. Thank you guys for having me today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenn.
Brought to you by BrandFace, the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe.